community. This is Condors Town, and this is another Energy Condors connection. Now, here's Eric Fox and Ryan Holt.
What's going on, B-Town? Eric Fox here from Energy 95.3, joined on the other side of the screen by Ryan Holt of the Bakersfield Condors. Good morning, sir.
What's happening?
Oh, just not exactly the Condors connection we wanted, but all things in life have their ups and downs. And unfortunately, the season has wrapped up with your Bakersfield Condors. But it was not without a strong fight from the Bako Birds, as the Stockton was just a hard team to play against. What were you seeing out there?
Yeah, Stockton's the division champs for a reason, and I think Bakersfield made Stockton beat them. I think, and that's something that you can be proud of in a sense. I know there's disappointment, and there's anytime a season ends, there's only one team that gets to finish on a win, in the entire league. So I think Stockton had to. They had to go through, Bakersfield on Friday, and, the Condors threw everything at them, and Stockton had an answer. So I think, when you look back and, you look at yourself in the mirror, you can be, happy to say, hey, we gave everything we had here. Sometimes, teams are just better, and we've talked about it all year long. If you give, the Condors A team against, the Heat A team, and, line them up, and play, Stockton probably wins, and that's what happened. Credit to Stockton, they brought their game, and they're deservedly into the third round, and for my money, probably the odds-on favorite, if not one of two favorites to win the whole thing.
Let's go and talk about that series, because it might have been a little hard to really gauge, because they got a round one bye literally.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not necessarily like you can go to the tape with some opponents that have already been playing. And also, injuries and rest are always a huge thing with hockey.
Yeah.
How did the team prepare? I mean, it had to be a tough thing to do.
Yeah, it turns out, when we talked about it kind of before the playoffs started and getting to the second round, basically four teams had byes going into, round two, the four division winners, if you will, in Chicago, Chicago, Springfield, I'm blanking on another one, Utica, and then Stockton. And only Utica has had troubles. Everyone else has swept. So turns out maybe the rest didn't hurt so bad. Charlotte had 17 days off and rolled through their first round. So it's there's arguments to both sides, but at the end of the day, I think teams are division champs for a reason, and that's what happened here over the last week and a half. And Stockton's going to get another week off. They don't start with Colorado until next Monday. So, interesting. They have a 2-3 series again. Usually you get the 3 games at home. Stockton picked 2 at home to start. So they didn't want to start in Colorado. They didn't want to, deal with that crowd and that environment. So they're going to have to close it out there, though. So I think that's an interesting kind of subplot going into round 3.
Reading the tea leaves, what are you feeling for heading into the Calder Cup? Who do you think might be hosting the cup at the end?
Yeah, I think Stockton gets by Colorado. Colorado's been pesky here. They beat an Ontario team that I wasn't high on to begin with, and I look back on it now, and had the Condors won that game in Abbotsford, Bakersfield would have been on the Henderson, Ontario track and not Colorado, and we'd probably be talking to you around 3, but that's the way it crumbles here.
Right.
I wasn't high on Ontario. Colorado offensively can play with Stockton, but they're not as structured as Stockton is. And Stockton's quite comfortable winning 2-1, 3-2 type of games. They can also put up 7 on you if they want. But Colorado doesn't have the defensive structure, I don't think, to be able to compete with Stockton. It is a short series with a best of 5, so anything can happen. But I still like Stockton there. Chicago faces Milwaukee. Milwaukee upset Manitoba. Chicago's been the best team, outside of Stockton in the league the entire year, most consistent team. They've got the 2 best scorers in the American Hockey League, and they're determined to win it all again. So, I'd expect Chicago, Stockton. That's a coin flip series out here in the West. Out east, we're rooting for J.F. Wool, our former assistant coach. He's in a Game 5 tonight with Syracuse. The winner will go on to either face Utica or Rochester. And I like whoever wins that. I like Laval if they win that game to maybe surprise some people in that division. I don't think Utica is as good. I mean, they won 13 straight to start the year and then have just kind of played 500 hockey the rest of the way, which, is their prerogative. And they were division champs, but I think they're weak in certain aspects. And then the other divisions, Charlotte and Springfield, I like Charlotte out of there. Charlotte probably gets back to the Calder Cup potentially too with a different organization. Last time they were Carolina, and now they're Florida. So 2 different organizations there, but we'll see what happens. It's on to round 3 and division finals are here.
If you had to make that one choice, though, come on now, let's get the tea leaves going. Who's going to hold the cup?
I think it's probably Chicago. They're deep. They're they have the veteran presence. They have the prospects from Carolina. And the strange thing about it is Carolina could win the last 2 Calder Cups with 2 different organizations 3 years apart because we haven't had one since 2019 now.
Right.
And the players on Chicago were actually on Chicago when Charlotte beat them 3 years ago in the Calder Cup final. So the Calder Cup has been handed out, once since 2019. It was handed out in Chicago to Charlotte, who's now Chicago. So follow that one. That's like
I got it.
Always Sunny in Philadelphia when he's doing the crime scene up on the wall.
Let's go and talk about you're talking about the change of organizations out there in the East, but let's talk about the one constant in hockey, and that is change. As we head into the offseason with the Condors, what are we kind of going to see, do you think?
Yeah, there's a lot of I wouldn't say uncertainty, but we lost our head coach this year. He ain't coming back. So he's in Edmonton, and they're obviously having a heck of a year. And so I think there's still stuff to be sorted out coaching wise. Colin Jock did a great job stepping in and kind of moving up the ranks and becoming a head coach here. I think he's definitely in the mix. I don't see how you can't put a guy who went 24-10 down the stretch and had a terrific month of April and terrific postseason and beat an Abbotsford team that the Condors probably weren't favored in. So I think he's definitely in the mix for sure. Player wise, that's always an uncertainty. Some guys who are coming to the end of their deals. Coop Marody, I think, is a unrestricted free agent. So is that the last time we see Cooper in Condors Town potentially? Some guys that are certainly coming back. Seth Griffith will be back in the organization. Stuart Skinner's going to be back in the organization. Likely won't be in Bakersfield, but be back in the organization on an NHL deal. Some defensemen that are back as well too. Samorukov and Desharnais, Kesselring and Kemp. Broberg will be back in the organization. Obviously, some of the rookies that we've seen this year, Holloway and Lavoie, they'll all be back as well too. So would expect probably a veteran defenseman signed. Would expect probably 2 or 3 veteran forwards kind of signed, depending on who's coming back out of that Griffith, Cracknell, Malone, Marody group. You're probably going to Schaller. You're going to probably have to replace them with 2 or 3 veterans. So we'll see what happens. But certainly, I think a veteran D, that can log minutes and can just be a good soldier back there and maybe spot fill in the NHL. I think is needed, but would expect probably a veteran netminder signed too at some point during the offseason. So that'll all happen after the Stanley Cup playoffs are over and once the season shifts to next year. But I think first and foremost is figuring out what they're doing coaching wise, which I don't know gets settled before Edmonton's done. I just don't know if there's a rush, if you will. The foundation's already here and the organization's already set.
Let's go and talk about Jay was here. Now he's up in the big league. Obviously, this is going to be a big series going on with Edmonton, which is the parent organization. It's the Battle of Alberta. They always call this thing where it's like, all right, when's the riots start? I'm kidding. Kind of. Let's talk about that series because that series is going to be quite a wild one up there. What are you seeing up there?
they're actually calling it the redemption for Bakersfield series after Stockton eliminated us. So that's been the main talking point is, everyone wants to go out and get redemption for Condors Town. But no, it's I was happy Calgary won. I couldn't watch Dallas again for another series. Just kind of pack it in and hope to win games 1-0, which is, again, their prerogative, but that's not what we were looking for. So yeah, some great series in the second round. It all starts tonight. Oilers start tomorrow. I think it's Wednesday, Friday, Sunday for the first 3 games every other day. And it's just, it's great. Battle of Alberta hasn't happened since 91. It's a huge rivalry up there. It's, their Sox Yankees, their Dodgers Giants. It's everything and more. So, I think Calgary tweeted out yesterday, they were asking how Red Deer feels. I think Red Deer is right in the middle of Edmonton and Calgary. It's kind of on the split. But you get fans in both cities. It just makes everything, that much more exciting. 2 really good teams. Calgary is going to be a tough out. I don't think they played particularly well in round 1, and they still get out of it. So they'll be itching to get off to a better start here in round 2. The environment, I think, favors Edmonton. I wasn't really impressed with Calgary's environment the other day. I remember the Sea of Red from back when they played, Tampa in the final, and it just didn't look like that this time around. So it's going to be a fun series. It's great for hockey. It's great for everyone involved, and I'm happy I can just sit on the couch and watch it because my blood pressure is high enough.
Let's go and talk about that, though. One thing I'm curious about, since Stockton continues in the playoffs and Bakersfield is out, are we going to see some more Bago players move up for this?
For sure. Yeah, you'll get some guys, I'd imagine, the Skinners and the Holloways and the Brobergs of the world to be able to go up to Edmonton as well, too. Not saying they'll play, not saying they'll, even, be a part of the main group at practice. But we have seen that in the past where some guys have had injuries and some options and maybe some things that, want to tweak inside of a series, and, they jump in a lineup. It would be a big ask for any of them to be able to jump in. We've seen it before. I think Chris Kreider comes to mind with the Rangers, graduated from BC and then jumped in the Rangers postseason right away. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I would anticipate some guys going up from Bakersfield to, be around the group, be a part of the run. And, it's much like being in the playoffs here is a great experience. It's a great experience to be in the playoffs up there as well, too.
Well, we'll be watching very closely. And, of course, we want to see the Bako Bird players up there in Edmonton doing well. Yeah. It's sad to come to a season wrap, but, all good things in life do have to come to an end. But it just means, we actually have a full regular season next year.
Absolutely.
With actual fans from day one. I'm looking forward to that for sure. And, of course, Ryan, you and I are going to be connecting up throughout the summer and talking about events going on and more ways in which, we can be a part of the Condor Nation here with Energy 95.3. Always appreciate this, man. This has been a blast. And, of course, we're going to be back. We're going to be doing more of these. So, Condors Town, don't worry. We got you handled on all levels. Ryan Holt from the Bakersfield Condors. My name is Eric Fox from Energy 95.3. Wrapping up the 21-22 season of your Bakersfield Condors. And we'll see you next time right here with Energy 95.3's Condors Connection.